you doing? My name's Charlie Carter, and today I want to talk about my filming technique and what goes into creating my style, and I'm going to be using this video as an example.
Take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine. I say you look so fine that I really want to make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks. Now you don't need the money when you look like that, do you, honey? Big black boots, long brown hair. She's so sweet with her get back stare. Well, I can see you home with me, but you were with another man, yeah. I know we ain't got much to say before I let you get away, yeah. I said, are you gonna be my girl? Be my girl, be my girl. Are you gonna be my girl? Yeah!
Alright, so the first thing I want to say about when it comes to style, if you like, is, well, number one, it's important to get your own style and create your own look, and you really can't worry about whether everybody likes what you're doing, because you're never going to please everybody. People like different things, so don't get too hung up on criticism. You know, I get a lot of people saying my grading's way over the top and it's too saturated or whatever, but I like that look. Anyone who knows me knows I'm heavily influenced by Tony Scott. And okay, Tony Scott doesn't make the deepest films in the world, you know, they're not life-changing movies, but I like his movies and I like his style and very experimental cinematography. It doesn't matter if everyone loves it, you know. Some people love Tony Scott, some people hate his stuff. So it really doesn't matter. So some of the movies I'm gonna show today, like some clips. Let's take a look at first, like Safe House, for example, which is cinematography is by Oliver Wood. So you can see the grading is very, very strong, very saturated. Another thing you'll notice, and this is something I use in my movies a lot, is pretty much a lot of the shots are at the telephoto end. And it's the same. Let's look at the next one, which is Man on Fire by Tony Scott. Again, I think Tony Scott never went below pretty much 100 mil. On any of his shots. Same with people like Michael Bay. Again, you know, people hate Michael Bay, but at the end of the day, what I would do on a modeling video or a music video is not what I would do on a narrative short film. So it depends on the project, you know. But I do like shooting at the telephoto end. You get that perception of compression, where the background looks a lot closer to the subject, and you can see that in the modeling video that the example that I've shown. I tried to shoot pretty much everything. If I could get away with it, I would shoot everything with this lens. So this is a Zeiss planar 50mm, which obviously on a micro four thirds, when you double it, it's 100mm. But because I'm using this lens Turbo 2, then it gives me an equivalent field of view of about, as compared to 35mm photography, of about 70 something mil. But obviously most films are around super 35mm, so you really shouldn't be comparing to still photography anyway, even though everybody does. So it's more like 100mm really. And I would shoot everything with this lens pretty much if I could, because I just love the look that you get. It's so much easier to get depth of field for one, and because when you're shooting at the telephoto end, any camera movement, any sort of if you just like panning or whatever, but you're staying focused on your subject, on your actor, your model, whoever, then the backgrounds, if you've got a background there, you're going to get this sort of parallax effect that you can see here. I'll show you this from Michael Bay on Bad Boys. Michael Bay uses it all the time. Michael Bay uses it for no reason, but it's a good look. And I dig that look, you know. So the main two lenses I use are this 50mm, which is equivalent to about 100mm, as I say. And then I also use this 28mm Discogon f2.8, which is equivalent to obviously about 56mm. We're talking a Super 35. I think I've got the maths right. Maths is not my strong point. The other thing is white balancing. In that modeling video in London, every single time we moved to a different place, I got the model to hold the white balance card like that, and then I take a snap of it in the white balance settings in the GH5 to set the white balance, and then that gives me obviously much less problems in post. You cannot trust the automatic settings like daylight and tungsten or whatever. I just do not trust it. I mean, but then again, saying that, I recently shot a short film and I set the white balance to 4400K for absolutely everything. And the reason I did that was because I was reading an article about the series Ozarks, and that whole series was shot at that white balance, and it gives it that bluish kind of dark, kind of mysterious look, and that's what I wanted for that film. So I'm constantly reading articles, watching videos, finding out tips, and I got that tip from the cinematographer for Ozarks. So I didn't use white balance cards in that short film. I literally set the white balance to 4400K and left it and shot everything at that color temperature because I wanted everything quite cool. The other thing, this pretty much lives on my lenses, except for the video I've shown you, because obviously that was shot at night, so I didn't need this. But this is a Tiffin 58mm variable ND. But when I'm shooting in daytime, like basically this never comes off any of my lenses. The reason I got this 58mm was because the good thing about the Zeiss lenses is they've got all the Zeiss's contacts, they all have the same filter thread, which is 55mm. It doesn't matter which lens you get, 28mm, 50mm, 85mm. The great thing about them is they're all pretty much the same size and they've all got the same filter thread. So you don't need to worry about having different NDs or different step up, step down rings. But anyway, this lives on my lenses because I live in Spain, and even if I didn't live in Spain, if you're shooting at f2.8, f1.7, which is pretty much where I live on my lenses, I try to shoot everything wide open. So yeah, so you need this variable ND obviously, because I'm not gonna change my shutter angle. My shutter angle is always gonna be 180 degrees. I cannot understand people who do not use a neutral density filter and then change the shutter speed to compensate for it, because obviously you get that horrible realistic video look, and it's just, in my opinion, it's horrible. Yeah, I don't want that. You know, I'm gonna stick at 180 degrees and I'm gonna use this to get my exposure where I need it. Yeah, 99% of the time, if I can, I'm gonna be using this shoulder rig. And the reason I'm using this shoulder rig is because it's amazing how much stability, extra stability it gives you, especially with the IBIS and the GH5. None of these lenses are stabilized, obviously, but with that shoulder rig, with the IBIS and the GH5, if I'm walking, tracking the model or tracking an actor or whatever, it's stable, really stable, surprisingly stable. Obviously, it's not as stable as a gimbal, but to be honest, I don't want that. I don't want my shots to be ultra smooth. That's another thing that's kind of part of my look, I suppose, is that my shots aren't ultra smooth. If anything, in post, I try and make them even more kind I use some effects, some new blue. I use a new blue effects pack to try and add some more movement to the shot. Yeah, I would say definitely the kind of main things are shooting at the telephoto end. I love shooting with telephoto lenses. It's just a look that I just love it, basically. You can see it in the example movies that I've shown you. All of these guys, like Tony Scott, obviously he's not around anymore, but Tony Scott, Ridley Scott, Michael Bay, any action movie really, you're going to see a lot of telephoto shots because there's just a look to it that you can obliterate the background and really focus on your subject, and any movement with the camera will be exaggerated. The background to the foreground will be exaggerated because of that perceived compression. So that's a really big part of what I do. So really, yeah, I mean, the kind of main things is that I like to keep the camera constantly moving. I do really love the David Fincher style of lockdown camera, and it's really sort of controlled movement. But with the kind of shots I do, the kind of shoots I do, the run and gun, I haven't got the time to set things up like that. So I opt for the opposite end of the spectrum and have a lot of movement, shooting at telephoto a lot of the time, pretty much all the time if I can. The only time I don't really shoot telephoto is if I'm walking with the model, because there's a bit too much shake. So I'll probably drop down to my 28mm, or sometimes I've got a wider native lens, but I try, which is on the camera now, the 15mm Panasonic Leica, but I don't really like to use that for filmmaking if I can, because I don't like the look, it's too clinical. These lenses are much more organic, that's the reason I use them. I don't know what it is about the combination with these Zeiss lenses and the GH5, but it's just a look that I'm really happy with it. And in terms of grading, yeah, I do push my grades. Most of my grades are quite heavily saturated. The colors are quite strong, but I mean, like I say, you look at that clip from Safe House. I mean, you know, those colors are really saturated. You look at Man on Fire, the colors are really saturated. Again, not everybody's gonna like it, but I don't care what everybody likes, I care what I like. And I'm not out to please everybody else, I'm out to please myself. And by pleasing yourself, you are gonna please other people, because there are gonna be people who dig what you're doing, and I've had plenty of compliments on my videos, so I must be doing something right. In terms of that video, that specific modeling video in London, I couldn't use the shoulder rig because if you guys are from America or wherever, that area is basically the city, main city, where a lot of the banking happens. It's where a lot of the fancy skyscrapers are, the Gherkin, the Leadenhall building. So there's heavy security around there. So basically, for that particular video, there's no way I could use the shoulder rig. The police would have been there in 5 seconds, or would have been kicked out. So I essentially shot that completely handheld, but essentially I've got this little miniature Manfrotto tripod, which I just screwed onto the bottom of the camera, and I had the camera on the mini tripod holding it like that, right next to my eye. Because I love to look, that's another thing when I'm filming, I want to look through the viewfinder, I don't want to use the screen. I feel disconnected from the shoot if I'm doing that, so, and I can't nail focus. Another thing I would say is, just to mention, is that because I'm shooting wide open pretty much all the time on the shoots that I do, obviously the shots in the video, the focus is pretty much nailed on 99% of the shots, the focus is bang on. But if you actually looked through the footage for the whole video, there's loads of shots that are out of focus, because obviously I'm shooting with these fully manual lenses. So when the model's moving around, I'm losing my focus, so I keep having to kind of track the model and get the focus. So out of, say, I don't know, the 50 gigabytes that I shot for that modeling video, a lot of it's out of focus. But I don't mind that, because I know for a fact that I'm gonna get some awesome shots where the focus is bang on, and because I'm at such a shallow depth of field, such a wide open aperture, and shooting telephoto, I'm gonna get that look where the background is kind of obliterated, but it looks, you got that compression as well, and any movement, you know, I'm gonna get that parallax kind of thing that I mentioned. So there's a lot of my shots are out of focus, but I don't worry about that too much, because I know I'm gonna have shots that are out of focus, but I'm just gonna have to select the bits that are in focus, and I know for a fact I'm gonna have some good stuff. Yeah, I think in summary, look at films that you love, films you absolutely, you know, watch again and again and again. I've seen Man on Fire about 100 times probably. Figure out the techniques that you there's a reason you like those films, not necessarily because of the story. As filmmakers, you're looking at the cinematography as well, you know, and copy, just copy. It doesn't matter, because from copying you will find your own style. You shouldn't be changing what you're doing to please anybody else. It's okay to sort of get inspiration from famous cinematographers and filmmakers and stuff like that, but I'm quite a traditional filmmaker. I just like normal cuts. I'm not really a big fan of these ridiculous transitions where you spinning transitions or little glitch. You know, you see a lot of these little glitch effects in film, especially travel videos nowadays. And for me, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but a lot of these travel videos and stuff, they look like they could have been shot by anybody, because they're all much of a muchness. And I just think, you know, in conclusion, I think it's just important to get your own style, and just to go your own path. Be happy with your own work and not worry whether everybody likes it, because it's like anything creative. Music, you know, I hate death metal, but other people love death metal. You just got to do your own thing. That's pretty much the crux of what I'm getting at, really. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything I want to talk about in this video. It's not very ordered, it's a bit chaotic because I haven't planned what I was going to say. So anyway, hopefully you take something from it, and yeah, if you've got any more questions or any comments or anything else that I haven't covered, let me know, and I'll answer any questions in the comments. Alright, thanks a lot. Bye bye.